Candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy degree will be greeted by Dean Nilsa Bosque Perez and Provost Douglas Baker. Jeremy Bayard Yoder, Biology, will be hooded by the Department Chair Joseph Cloud. Dissertation title, Species Interactions and the Origins of Biological Diversity. Kofi Akamani, Natural Resources, will be hooded by Major Professor Troy Hall. Dissertation title, Community Resilience to Drivers of Change, an analysis of community and household participation in Ghana's Collaborative Forest Management Program. Fatima Saeed Alhamlin, Microbiology, Molecular Biology, and Biochemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Ron Crawford. Dissertation title, a novel screening tool using microarray pyrosequencing PCR to detect pathogens in agriculturally impacted waters. Heidi J. Anderson, Geology, will be hooded by Major Professor Peter Isaacson. Dissertation title, Sedimentology and Lithostratigraphy of the Macharetti and Mandayuti groups, Southern Bolivia, evidence of the late Paleozoic glaciation. Aaron Berryman, Natural Resources, will be hooded by Major Professor John Marshall. Dissertation title, Quantifying Controls on Soil Respiration in a Mixed Conifer Forest and a Pinyon Juniper Woodland. Evelina Betlea, Microbiology, Molecular Biology, and Biochemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Douglas Cole. Dissertation title, Molecular Characterization of Interactions between the retrograde intraflagellar transport motor and flagellar proteins in Chlamydomonas reinhardti. Justin Howard Bowling, Natural Resources, will be hooded by Major Professor Lizette Waits. Dissertation title, Exploring Patterns and Mechanisms of Red Wolf Canis rufus Hybridization in North Carolina. Renee Louise Breedloves-Trout, Geology, will be hooded by Major Professor Judith Totman Parrish. Dissertation title, Paleofloristic Studies in the Paleogene Chuckanut Basin, Western Washington, USA. Christina Carrier, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Matt Wappett. Dissertation title, Holding Vulnerable Hands, Increasing Non-Traditional Student Support and Retention Through After-Hours E-Mentoring. Pallavi Chaguru, Animal Physiology, will be hooded by Major Professor Rodney Hill. Dissertation title, Pathways to Adipogenesis and Probing of a Key Metabolic Regulator, PDHX. June Renee Clevey, Geology, will be hooded by Major Professor Simon Kattenhorn. Dissertation title, Structural and Hydrologic Interactions on the Eastern Hemisphere of Mars. Christina Keeley Cliff, Political Science, will be hooded by Don Crowley. Dissertation title, The Spread of Violence, Contagion and Diffusion in Genocide and Terrorism. Juan De Leon, Jr., Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Donald Wattam. Dissertation title, Understanding the Role of Identity and Retention of Mexican American Students in Higher Education. Michelle D. Swenson Doty, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Matt Wappett. Dissertation title, Post-Secondary Transition Programs, How One Idaho School District Provides Services for Young Adults with Disabilities Between the Ages of 18 and 21. Bernadette J. Fallett Renaug, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Linda Taylor. Dissertation title, Eating, Exercise, and Motivation in Male Marathon Runners, Identifying Risk Factors. Xinying Fang, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Linda Taylor. Dissertation title, Teaching Styles, Personality Types, and Interest in Positive Behavioral Support Among Elementary School Teachers in Taiwan. Delta Faye Heath Simpson, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Laura Holyoke. Dissertation title, The Perfect Pairing, The Adult Learner and the Boutique Winery in the Startup Phase. Chad M. Hoffman, Natural Resources, will be hooded by Major Professor Penelope Morgan. Dissertation title, Numerical Simulation of Crown Fire Hazard in Bark Beetle-Infested Lodgepole Pine Forests. Wei Chin Hong, Chemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Chain Wai. Dissertation title, Effects of Chemical Environment on the Optical Properties of Single-Walled Carbon Nanotubes. Andrew Kenneth Johnson, Microbiology, Molecular Biology, and Biochemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Andrzej Paszczynski. Dissertation title, Coding and Functionalization of Magnetic Nanomaterials, Conventional and Biomimetic Approaches to Create Multifunctional Nanomaterials. Kate Hannah Kuhajic, Environmental Science, will be hooded by Major Professor Thomas Hess. Dissertation title, Using a Genetic Algorithm to Optimize Perchlorate Bioremediation. James McNabb Lineberger, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor James Gregson. Dissertation title, Antecedents to Post-Acquisition Effective Organizational Commitment, the Lived Experience of Medical Group Practice Executives. Randy Latayan Maglinau, Biology and Agricultural Engineering, will be hooded by Major Professor Bingjun Brian Herr. Dissertation title, Thermochemical Conversion of Glycerol to Primary and Polyhydric Alcohols. Jerry Midgley, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Ernest Biller. Dissertation title, Return on Post-Secondary Education Investment, an Analysis of Professional and Technical Education Degrees in Idaho. John L. Morrison, Physics, will be hooded by Major Professor Leah Bergman. Dissertation title, Realization of Ultraviolet Luminescent Nanocrystals and Ceramics. Hornbin Pan, Chemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Chain Wai. Dissertation title, Synthesis of Carbon Nanotube-Supported Catalytic Nanoparticles and Their Applications in Catalysis. Heather Maya Ridenour, Education, will be hooded by Major Professor Sharon Stoll. Dissertation title, Cultivating a Culture of Honor in Sport. Dia Sen, Bioinformatics and Computational Biology, will be hooded by Major Professor Eva Top. Dissertation title, Comparative Genomics of Broad Host Range Plasmids Isolated from the Environment. Aaron Lee Stanzik, Chemistry, will be hooded by Major Professor Eric Bronze. Dissertation title, Time-Resolved Infrared Spectroscopy of RNA Hairpin Tetraloop Folding.